Welcome back to another episode of the Deep Dig. We are in Matthew 5:21. In the New Century Version, it says, Jesus teaches about anger. You have heard that it was said to our people long ago, you must not murder anyone. Anyone who murders another will be judged. But I tell you, if you are angry with a brother or a sister, you will be judged. If you say bad things to a brother or sister, you will be judged by the council. And if you call someone a fool, you will be in danger of the fire of hell. And I just thought this was interesting because it's kind of, I read it as a contradiction to Matthew 5:19, which is what I just read, and 5:19 says this. Whosoever refuses to obey any command and teaches other people not to obey that command will be the least important in the kingdom of heaven. So if you disobey one of the commandments, you could still be going to heaven, but according to Matthew 5:21-22, it says if you call someone a fool, you could go to hell. And this didn't really make sense to me, so I wanted to dig a little deeper. I know nothing contradicts each other in the Bible. There's no contradictions there, so I wanted to figure out why it was like this. First, I want to talk about the title. In the New Century Version, it says Jesus teaches about anger. The New International Version titles these verses as murder. But the King James Version titles these verses the New Law. And after doing research, I feel like this title is the best one. And it says here in Matthew 21, ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill, and whoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you. So this is Jesus saying, or trying to explain the new law. Now, I'm not saying one of these titles is wrong. They're all right because these passages are about murder, and Jesus does teach about anger. I just think that the title of the new law describes the root meaning of these passages. So how can you break one of the commandments and still go to heaven, but call someone a fool and go to hell? And that's because it's about heart, the condition of your heart. That's where the Pharisees got it wrong, because they thought they were doing everything by the book and that was good enough. Everything according to the law, like let's say you haven't murdered, which is what these verses talk about. That is good, but if your heart is not right, if you have anger, hatred, you have murderous thoughts about someone, that is just as bad. The first temptation that Jesus went through, the lust of the flesh, he responded to the devil, one does not live on bread alone, but by every word God says. And that is a great example for this also, because you can have bread and your body will live. But if you don't have the word of God, you still have death in the end. The Pharisees, if you stick by the law, what the law says, you think you're good, but your heart is not right, then you still have death. This is how much more important heart is than law. Heart is mentioned 826 times in the Bible, and law is mentioned 523 times. So if you deduct the 523 from the 826, you get 303. And if you go to Psalms 33, it says, O Lord, thou hast brought up my soul from the grave. Thou hast kept me alive, that I should not go down to the pit. And it's funny because without Jesus dying on the cross, we can't be saved. The only way to be saved is through Jesus. And I feel like that relates to these passages, because it's like we can do whatever the law says, but if our hearts aren't right, we don't know Jesus, we're not right with Jesus, then we still have death. So what can we take away from these verses? I think we need to take away the fact that although many of us have not committed any of the acts stated in the Ten Commandments, that Jesus says to look deeper into our hearts, because we're still going to be guilty of those things, even if we think them or if we feel them. Speaking about anger towards somebody, and we're actually going to go into that next study. Jesus was only angry a few times for specific reasons, and I wonder if we are supposed to get angry at all now after reading this. But we'll talk about that on the next episode. And if you could just subscribe and hit the like button if you like these videos, if you got anything from it. And thanks for listening. Have a great day.